If you're anything like me, then the soundtrack that's playing right now is one that gives you a rush of emotions even years after originally hearing it. And if you're not, then maybe you haven't played Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky, Time, or Darkness. Or, maybe you're heartless. Regardless, to many this is a very familiar song, whether you know exactly where it comes from or not. It's one that carries a lot of weight with it, both within the story of the game and just on its own because of how powerful the orchestra is. But wait, you're hypothetically saying, didn't you say this was from a Pokemon game? The game for children? And to you I say, listen here, you little shit. The phrase, "it's just a kid's game," is one that's commonly thrown around nowadays, especially in relation to Pokemon games, whenever they receive any kind of criticism. It's basically used as a red herring to avoid actually criticizing a game because, well, it's just for children. It doesn't have to be compelling or unique because it's just a kid's game. We need to stop this really toxic argument for a number of reasons, but the one I want to get into today loops back to Explorers of Sky. I think it's a really cheap cop-out to pretend that games don't have to have these really interesting storylines or in-depth character growth because, it's just for kids. I was 9 years old when I played Explorers of Darkness, and 10 or 11 when I played Explorers of Sky. And I felt so many different emotions playing that game. It dives into themes about betrayal and trust of others. It goes into loss and grief of loved ones. I mean, it even dives into, existentialism. Not to mention the constant internal struggles that one of the main characters deals with, involving a lot of self-doubt and self-worth issues because they lack so much confidence that they can't really get by in the world. They can't even do the one thing that they want to do and join Wigglytuff's guild. But then your character comes into play and they go through so much growth and you get to help them along the way. And sure, they don't do it all on their own, but they still undergo that growth. When I first played this game, the depth of the characters and the story was way more than any game I'd ever played at that point, and it still rivals a lot of games I play to this day. So why do we just have to pretend that kids aren't capable of these complex emotions? Why do we have to pretend that they can't do anything for themselves because they're helpless? A lot of the younger generation is toxically written off as being lazy or unable to solve any problems by themselves. And it's really unhealthy to put them in a box like this. So many people blame the kids themselves or the technology around them, but it's more often than not the parents' fault. I see so many parents nowadays just hand their kid a phone or an iPad and that's how they solve any kind of problem with their kid. If their kid's crying, hand them technology, they'll go watch YouTube or whatever. And it's extremely unhealthy to do that. Not only is the child not learning any social skills or how to communicate with other people, they're also learning that, if I have a problem in life, I just have to whine about it long enough, and eventually somebody will give me what I want. And that's not a good mindset to have. Not to mention the constant struggle of needing consistent stimulus in their life, otherwise they'll go crazy. Stop discrediting the capability of young human minds to perceive these complex emotions and misdirecting game criticism just by putting an age barrier around it. I mean, Pokemon advertisements themselves show at the very least an equal distribution of children, teenagers, young adults, and even some older folks playing all of their games. You'd think that if they wanted it to be for children only, then they would only advertise with children only. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this was a bit of a weird video compared to my other content, but I just kind of needed to vent all of this out into some coherent form, and I figured it might be at least somewhat interesting to put it out into the world and see what everyone thinks about it. So If you did enjoy it, you can hit that like button, and you can subscribe, and I'll do more like this in the future. You can comment below if you want to see me cover a certain topic, or I'll just eventually get to my own topics, because there's 1,001 different things I could talk about in relation to game development and, you know, societal impact of video games. So stick around for more, and I will see you guys next time.